Let's review. Number one, always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Number two, always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot. Number three, always keep the gun unloaded until ready to use.
The orientation for the pistol range. This is a pistol range, the long building behind me, that's your rifle range. Now the first thing we're going to talk about today is see the red flashing light? Whenever that red flashing light is on, that means that there's a ceasefire inside the building. During a ceasefire, never ever bring a gun onto the range out of a case. If you have a rifle like this that's in a case or a pistol, a pistol caliber rifle or pistols in cases, you can bring them on. But if they're out of the case, never bring them on during a ceasefire because that's unsafe. Now you're going to come onto the range. You have all your weapons in a case. You see that there's a ceasefire. Go ahead and set your equipment down until the ceasefire is over. How will you know the ceasefire is over? The chains will go back up, as you see right there. The light switch will be turned off. Whoever is running the ceasefire will say the range is hot. You may commence fire. That means you can go forward, set your equipment up on the bench. Now how do you do that? We're going to do rifle and pistol so that you can see you can shoot pistol caliber rifles on the pistol range. You walk up to the bench. So now you know that the ceasefire is not in effect. The range is hot because no lights are flashing. You see that the chains are up. You bring your gear in, pick out the bench. I've picked number 13. This is where my firing line is going to be. So I set my gear up here. I unzip my bags. I take my first pistol out. I unzip my pistol, making sure that before I take pistol or rifle out of the bag, it's always pointed down range. I look in, sure enough, it is pointed down range. I take the pistol out. I immediately break the cylinder open, make sure there's no brass in it, and set it down, action open, so that if a range safety officer walks by, he can see safe, nothing in the chamber or in the cylinders, and nothing in the barrel. Take your bag, put it back in here, throw it in there. Okay, if you brought a semi-automatic as well, unzip your bag, whatever you may have it in, take it out. Okay, now you unzip it. Okay, now I see it is pointed down range. I take the weapon out, drop the magazine, showing safe, lock the slide open, showing clear, but with this I lay it down this way so that as a range safety officer walks by, he sees safe, no magazine in the weapon, clear, nothing in the chamber. Then you take your rifle, same thing, open it up. Remember, case and uncase only on the bench, on the firing line, never behind the ceasefire line. Okay, and remember, always take your equipment out with the barrel pointed down range so that you never sweep anybody with the barrel of the weapon. You take your magazine out, open your action, show safe and clear. Safe, no magazine in the weapon, clear, no round in the chamber. I just got out of my car. I don't have a case for my weapon. What do? I break the cylinder open, barrel pointed vertical, make sure there's no brass in the weapon. If it's a semi-automatic, lock the action open, remove the magazine, carry it in a vertical position. Check to see if the red light is flashing. If the red light's not flashing, you can go ahead and bring it onto the range. If the red light is flashing, that means there's a ceasefire, and no gun, revolver, semi-automatic, or rifle comes onto the range out of a case. If you have a holster, it doesn't come on the range out of a case. A case is a case. That's an object that totally encompasses the gun so that the barrel's not visible, no part of the action is visible, or the grip. So even if it's in a holster, don't bring it on the range during a ceasefire. Now, another big difference between the rifle and pistol range is the number of rounds that you can load. On the pistol range, shooting pistol caliber cartridges, where you can load as many rounds as a weapon holds. What we want you to do is shoot consistently at the target. What we don't want to see is any rapid fire to where now you're shooting up here. because where are the rounds going to go? Right into the baffles, okay? You can do a double tap. You can do a failure drill. You can even do rapid fire as long as you're hitting the target. And how many rounds can you load on the rifle range? One at a time. How many on the pistol range? As many rounds as the weapon will hold. You're shooting and you have a misfire. You pull a trigger, nothing goes bang. So you try to open the weapon, but it won't open. Okay, so now you have a jam. You have a live round in the chamber, whether it's a revolver or a semi-automatic, and you can't clear your weapon. Set the weapon down. Remove the magazine if it has one, and you can't. Open the actions to all your other guns. Tell whoever's on the range they need to step behind the range because you're calling an emergency ceasefire because of a problem with the gun. Come over, set the chains up, just like we showed. Turn the light on. Go to the range office and get the range master or whoever's a range safety officer working that day. Come down and they'll fix your gun, get it cleared, get everything working. You just have a misfire, but you can pull it back and you clear the round that didn't fire. What do you do with that round that's now had a strike but hasn't detonated? Here again, get your little plastic container behind you. They're all along the beams. Put it in there and let us worry about it. We'll get rid of it for you. Okay, let's assume that you're running the range today. You're down on the pistol range, you've never had a ceasefire, you're not a member, you're not familiar with how to run it, or you are a member and you've just never called a ceasefire. Sometimes when there's very few people here, we allow people to run it themselves. So what do? You want to call a ceasefire. Maybe there's 2 or 3 other people. You let them know, hey, we'd like to have a ceasefire. As the person calling the ceasefire, you're responsible to be sure that all of your weapons are action open, magazines removed, and then that everyone else does exactly the same thing and then steps behind the ceasefire line. Ceasefire line is where you see all the yellow chains, where you see all the red lines. Now you can set up the chains if you want, all along the different points, as you see this one right here, or you can just go ahead and call the ceasefire. You turn the light switch on. You say the range is cold. You go out here where the chains are. Okay, you hook them up here. What does this do? What this does is with those chains at all the other points, as well as these, it makes it to where nobody can get into the firing lane. During a ceasefire, nobody is allowed up to the firing line, and that's just common sense. Be sure that every time you call a ceasefire, someone, you or somebody else, checks that every weapon on the firing line, the actions are open, the magazines are removed, and it's safe and clear before you go down range. Now, once you've got these chains up, you've confirmed that everybody's actions are open, their magazines are removed, you can say, okay, the range is cold, you may go down range and set up your target. You grab your target backer, you walk out to whatever distance it is, you're going to go put your target up, whether it be 20 yards, 25, or 50, set your target backer up, you're good to go. Now, everybody's got their target backer set up or updated their targets or whatever they were going to do, and now they're back. So now you're ready to go ahead and commence fire. What you do is, first of all, make sure everybody, again, is behind the ceasefire line. Nobody is out in front of the firing lane. You say, okay, you come back, first thing you do is take your chains. Put your chains back where you got them from. Walk back. You say, all right, now the range is hot. You turn the light off. Everybody can go forward and commence fire. Occasionally there's an emergency ceasefire. It's very rare. It does happen. So what do? If you hear immediate ceasefire or you see an unsafe act that you feel the need to call an emergency ceasefire, come over, turn on the light, set your chains up to come back here as already demonstrated. Tell everybody to open their actions, remove their magazines. Now, if it's called it from the office, do not, I repeat, do not go back to the firing line until he says the range is safe. If you have had a problem after calling the ceasefire and putting up the chains and making sure everybody's behind the ceasefire line, go and contact one of the range safety officers. They will come down and take care of the problem. Now, after the ceasefire has been called, then we'll give you the okay at some point that the range is safe, you may commence fire. Once again, you put your chains back to where they are, then you turn the light off, and you announce to everyone who is still behind the ceasefire line, the range is hot, you may commence fire. Everybody can go back and commence firing. The pistol range has two distances to shoot from: long side, short side. Long side is 25 and 50 yards. They use these tall target backers. The short side, which is under 25 yards, uses the very short target backers you see here. Simple way to remember this: long side, tall target backers; short side, short target backers. So I get a staple gun, get whatever kind of target I'm going to shoot at, set it up, staple it up, so that the next ceasefire, when everybody else is ready to go down range and put up targets, I have a target backer prepared. I've got it sitting right here, and I'm waiting patiently for my chance to go down range, set up my new target. You have decided that you're going to shoot the clays at 50 yards. A lot of guys will take the 22 and they will set regular clays that you shoot at with shotguns at the 50-yard berm, as you see out there now, and they will shoot at them, and that's just fine. The brass needs to be cleaned up. If you're a shooter and you want to take it home, great, put it in your bag, take care of it. If not, all along the beams or all along the walls are these red coffee cans. Please, before it gets too thick, sweep it up and pick it up so nobody slips and falls on it. If you do reload and you're firing your brass during a ceasefire, as you see the lights are going, the chains are up, a lot of people want to walk in front of their bench and pick up their brass, and that's just fine. But what we don't want to see is, oh, I'm going to set it on the bench. There's no reason to touch the bench during a ceasefire for any reason. If you want to come out and pick up whatever it is that you have in front of your bench, that's fine. But be sure to not set it on the bench, do not touch the bench, do not go near the bench. Just put it in your pocket. Be sure that when you're done picking it up, come back to your chains so that they're back where they should be. You're on the range, you're shooting, and all of a sudden you find some live rounds on the ground. What do? Pick them up. Take them and put them in one of these cans that are very similar to this, okay? And just throw them in there and let the range take care of them. We'll get rid of everything. You're ready to case up and go home. Grab your bag, because here again, where do you case and uncase? Only on the firing line, only on the bench. Move your stuff over where you can put your case up. Get your cases out. Take your pistol case, unzip it. Take your revolver, making sure that it's clear and empty. Close it. Put it in the case. The barrel pointed down range. Put it back in the case. Put it away. Okay. Next thing is, get your other case. I have a case here for my pistol. Okay. I take it. Let it go forward. Drop the hammer. Put the magazine back in the pistol. Put it in the case, making sure that it is empty. Zip it up, put it right down in there, okay? Now I have my pistol case all ready to go back home, okay? Now for your rifle case, here again, what do? You do not bring the rifle back to the case. You bring the case from wherever you've placed it, set it on the bench. Take the rifle, put it in, close the action, zip it shut. Take your magazine, put it in your pocket. Now you're ready to walk out the door. Voila. Now this is an adult activity, gentlemen. We expect adult behavior. Now what does that mean? That means that if you make a mistake and a range safety officer has to correct you and you cop an attitude, you will be asked to leave right then. If we have to correct you 3 times, we figure either you need to go home and practice, you're not listening, or there's a problem, and you will be asked to leave. Now is that because we're cool and you're not, or any of that garbage? That hasn't got anything to do with anything. This is about your safety, the safety of the other people on the range, and the safety of all of our neighbors. So if you have any questions, see these white badges up here? Anybody with the badge that's white is a member that'd be glad to answer any questions. Anybody with the yellow badge, like Jim over there, they're a range safety officer. They'll be glad to answer any questions. I'll be glad to help you any way I can, okay? Your eyes are required. They're over there. You paid for that when you came in. There's earmuffs over by the targets. You paid for that when you came in. There's pop, there's coffee, there's candy, whatever you need. And if you need any help, just holler, guys. I'll be glad to help any way I can, okay? All right, guys. Have fun.